So welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander, and today we're taking a look at a new-ish game from Multi-Man Publishing, and it's North Africa. And this is Afrika Korps versus Desert Rats, 1940-1942. So this is the latest in the SCS, which is the Standard Combat Series. The series designed by Dean Essig, as was this particular title. We've played a number of SCS games. I really like the system. It's very enjoyable, and it is very introductory friendly. This particular game, okay, this game has a bit of a story with me. So, one of, I think, the second game ever in the SCS series back in the early 90s was Africa, and I have that very first edition, and it was very enjoyable. I think it's a single map, or it might be two, and you play on it. It's very low counter density. It's a really, really good introductory war game, as well as an introduction to the SCS system. Then they redid that back in like 2006, something like that, and it was just called. It was the new edition of Africa. They kind of spruced it up. Gave it a facelift and just kind of redid it, and that's like one of the most well-received war games of all time. Then this is their kind of replacement for those. And what I liked about the original Africa is it wasn't huge, and this one, I don't want to say unfortunately is huge, but it is huge. This is a 4-mapper. I cannot fit that all on this table, but we are having a table built at the moment, which will be able to fit it all on, and someday I will do it all. But this is designed as a 2-player game. You can play it solitaire probably without any major issues, of basically the entire campaign of not the entirety of North Africa, but you're talking basically all of, it's like, it's the landings all the way from Libya all the way to Egypt, I believe, in this one. I don't have Algeria or anything like that. But it's 4 maps, but it even says on the back here, there's a lot of different 1 or 2 map scenarios that you can do. So there's variety. You don't have to play the whole hog, but you could do if you wanted to, and I'm sure someone has, and I probably will. But this, I believe, is what they say, this is like the SCS version of DAC, which is Deutsche Afrika Korps, if you didn't know, which is an OCS game, and OCS has this reputation for being very intense and quite long. This is effectively that same game in the SCS system. So I'm very curious to see what it's like, and I had held off getting it because it was a 4-mapper, and I thought, oh, do I need that with I've got Africa in the same system? And then we were at WBC, and they had it. It's out of stock almost everywhere else, and it was only $66, and everywhere else it's close to 90, so I was like, you know what, we're doing it. So let's crack it open and see what we've got. So first thing we've got in the box is our little thank you for purchasing from MMP. So the first thing we're going to dive into is we have the SCS North Africa rules. Do they give us the series rules, or have they combined it all? Scale, map, turn sequence, admin movement, supply, airstrikes, all the scenarios in here. We're going to have a quick look through to make sure they did or didn't do what I think they may have done. Oh, there's a lot of stuff in here. Okay, good. This is what I was looking for. There we go. Alright, good. Okay, so these are the 2 rule books. This is the series rules, and this is version 1.8. This is the latest one. I think I've played with 1.7 and like 1.4, and frankly, the differences are minimal. But 1.8, so these are the core game rules of this system, and you will use all of these. But the good news is that these rules, excluding diagrams, are 8 pages, and the 8th page is designer notes. Like, I cannot express to you how versatile this system is and how easy it is to learn. If you've never played a Hex Encounter war game, that rule book should be something that is approachable by everyone. That's not a scary rule book. You're looking at 7 pages of rules there, and if you take out all the pictures, there's actually 6 pages of text, and the rest of it's pictures. Now, this can be applied to literally any SCS game that you pick up. These are the game-specific rules, and this is a much bigger book, right? But the reality is, all of this is scenarios, and then a couple of bits and pieces at the end of notes. We got some charts on the back as well. But the actual game-specific rules for this huge 4-mapper with a bunch of scenarios is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 rules, 7 pages. And most of this is just explaining the odd kind of unique counters and how they act. And so it's very easy to reference if you have that on the board, and you'll learn it very quickly. And then just the additional things of what the airstrikes do in this game, admin movement, how that works, a detailed sequence of play for this one with the different breakdowns of the extra bits and pieces that they've squeezed in. So 7 pages of rules, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 pages of rules. 15 pages of rules for what we're going to look at. When I say that this is a really good introductory system, that's what I'm talking about. So, everything else in here is maps and counters, basically. We're just going to fish everything out, and we're going to go from here. So, you do get 2d6, get a red one and a white one. I typically use custom dice because I have them. So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So, here's all the maps. We will take a look at those here in just a second. So, sheets of counters. So, counter sheet 1 we have on here. So, I would presume that we have a bunch of Italian units over here in green, or like a teal, I suppose, what you would say. And then we have the German units over here, most of which are the DAC units under Rommel. You can see a lot of these, they've got really nice pictures and coloring on them. That's a huge step up from the ones back in the 90s that I played with in Africa. But these are the back of them. Some of them have nothing on the back of them. Some of them do have a reduced side. And this is kind of your standard fare MMP white core. So that's what you're getting with those. And then on here, we have all of our British and Commonwealth forces. And a lot of admin markers. So it looks like we've got a lot of British forces here. You know, you've got Royal Tank Regiment, Scots Greys and all that. So then we've got all of that's kind of here. We've got New Zealanders. We've got Indian units. Greeks. What does that say? Oh, Yugoslavian division. Love that. South Africans. I am not convinced I know what this is here. So if you know what that is, let me know. Free French, Czech. There's an SS unit, I guess. From the other counter. We've got Australians. And I don't know what this one is either. Is that Polish? I'm not sure about that. Those might be Polish units, but I don't know what these blue ones are. If you know what these are, you let me know, because I don't know offhand. But they're all, you know, everything's represented, and you know, I also appreciate that they gave them different colours to identify what they are, and it's not just, oh, everything's kind of under the British Commonwealth colours. I don't know, I appreciate that they do that. So, we have these kind of, I believe these are fortresses that are like kind of dug and occupied. Supply units. Supply will obviously be a significant part of this game, but probably to a much smaller extent than something like BCS or OCS. You have DG for disorganized units. Guys will get DG'd if they're out of supply or as combat results, and they can't do a whole lot. Usually halves their values and things. Lots of minefields, lots of control markers, and lots of activation markers as well. just to help you out with those things. Again, reverse idle. Some of these counters has a reduced combat values on them as well, but that's kind of what we're looking at with the counters. Again, just 2 sheets of counters. So, the maps. And you might say, Alexander, there's no play aids. Where are all the play aids? Well, the play aids are both here, and if my intuition is correct, and I almost 100% believe that it is, all of this stuff is printed on the maps. And that's one thing I really, really liked about the original Africa, is that you just play off the maps. I love a game that can do that. And solitaire games are usually really good at that, but 2-player games often are not. Okay, so this is map A. Again, so you're going to have 4 22 by 34s, and they're in this portrait, and so you can have this one here, and then the next one, and then the next one. So that's how they're going to lay out. So you do need a big table. I think I can fit 1, 2, and then the half one would fall off of my table. So we're getting a longer table so we can settle this up. So this is the first map, kind of everything you'd expect here. El Alhelia, Benghazi, and you're going to have POW holding boxes, your Benghazi box, because you're going to have a big stacks of crap in there, you're just going to hold it off map, and then your Malta box, German air transport, and naval transport boxes. But as you can see, outside of that, it's a North Africa map, right? The color palette's what you would expect, but everything, generally speaking, to me at least, is extremely clear and functional. All the roads are delineated well. Generally speaking, I think all the terrain is marked very clearly as well. So that's the first map. So then we're going to go to map B. So that one doesn't have the play aids on it, which is irritating. And I could be wrong. They might not be on here, but I would sincerely hope that they are. So this is map B, and as you can see, just lines up right next to it. But all the way, I don't even know if we can see up here. So this all the way up round here, yeah. So down here we've got Tobruk. Again, we have some Allied airstrike availability markers and Axis holding boxes for those things as well. But you have your little Tobruk special rules printed on the map. So we do appreciate that. Then we're going to go to map C. All right. So here's map C. And again, this is just going to go on here like this. So we got Libya, Egypt. So we have Badia, Buk, and Sidi Barani. We've got the little small ports that have holding boxes, and Mersa Metre. I'm not sure how we pronounce that. But this is what... Alright, I'm going to have to fold this down so we can see. At the top of this one, here's our combat results table. Here's our terrain effects chart. All of that is what was printed on the back of the rule book. So you could have this out, you could photocopy this and print this out, but it is also, especially if you're playing with this particular map, which I assume a lot of the scenarios do use, or the whole campaign game uses, it's on the map itself, which, you know, I appreciate very much as well. And then we have the final map, has Alexandria on it, over here, and the Qatar Depression. So you're going to fight El Alamein right here. Everything that you would expect, you're going to do at a fairly grand scale in this one. And at the top of this map, so you also have your special rules for Alexandria, but then you've got holding boxes for those too, your activation action charts, your withdrawal tables, and most importantly, you have your turn track, which also has your replacement points and your supply as well. So you don't have like off-map sleds and OOBs of all the things that you're getting extra. A lot of that's printed on the map. And then you have to... There's a special rule in Africa where you have to withdraw troops for the Greek campaign. I presume you have to roll dice to commit a certain number of these troops to the Greek campaign after the first few months of fighting in North Africa. So a lot of maps. It's very big. Am I going to play with all 4 maps? Not anytime soon. Will I at some point? Absolutely. But that's everything that you get in North Africa. But remember, whilst that's a lot of maps and a lot of space, this is the amount of counters that you have. It's not very many, and you obviously won't have all of these on the board at any given time. Half of them are going to be in the POW box. If it's the Italians, got nothing to say about it. And so it'll be I'm hoping a very wide open game, lots of area for movement. I mean, there will be, look at the map. And that's going to kind of focus and shift of different areas at different points of the campaign. So whilst the maps are a lot, the counters are not, and I'm hoping that, you know, this is like a mini monster game in that sense. You might spend a long time playing this, but again, you don't have a ton of counters, so your turns should go fairly quickly. And then on top of that, the rules themselves, I know the rules. I've played an SCS game before. I played it multiple, but if you've played even one, you know all the rules for this game, basically. You've just got the extra rules, which are going to be mostly for supply stuff, and then your administrative movement and activations and things like that so you don't have to count all the hexes all the way across the map when you're landing guys and things like that. So this system is very easy to learn. This might not be the best entry point if it's a big 4-mapper and you don't got the space for it, but if you haven't played SCS, go and get one of the titles that interests you. It might be this, because this is the newest, freshest one with the most up-to-date rules. I'm very excited to give this a go and kind of let you know how this is. So all in all, very excited. North Africa from MMP. Check it out if you're interested. Appreciate you very much for tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.